Strawman arguments involve attacking a distorted or oversimplified version of your position rather than engaging with what you actually believe. The name comes from a practice of military training where soldiers attack straw dummies instead of real opponents. It's much easier to defeat a straw man than to engage with someone's actual reasoning. Oversimplifying your complex position reduces nuanced views to crude caricatures. They're easier to attack. If you express concerns about rapid policy changes while supporting a general direction, they might characterize your position as opposing all progress or supporting the status quo. This eliminates the complexity that makes your actual position reasonable. Attributing extreme views you've never expressed involves claiming you believe things you've never said or implied. Someone might respond to your support for environmental protection by claiming you want to destroy the economy or force everyone to live in poverty, even when you've specifically discussed balancing environmental and economic concerns. Focusing on the weakest version of your argument means ignoring your strongest points and evidence whilst attacking minor details or poorly phrased statements. Instead of engaging with your main reasoning, they find the least defensible aspect of your position and treat it as representative of your entire argument. Combining your views with unrelated controversial positions creates guilt by association. They might say, people who think like you also believe, and then list extreme positions you've never endorsed, making it seem like your reasonable position is connected to unreasonable ones. Arguing against implications you reject involves claiming that your position logically requires accepting conclusions you explicitly disagree with. They might say, if you really believe X, then you must also support Y, even when you've clearly stated that you don't support Y and explain why your position doesn't require it. Responding effectively to strawman arguments requires discipline because the natural impulse is often to defend yourself against false characterizations, which can derail the entire conversation. Clearly restate your actual position without getting defensive about the mischaracterization. Say something like, "That's not my position. What I actually think is," and then explain your real views concisely and calmly. Don't defend positions you don't hold. If someone attacks your view, a view that you've never expressed, don't feel obliged to defend it just because they've attributed it to you. Instead, clarify that you don't hold that position and redirect to what you actually believe. Ask them to engage with what you actually said rather than their interpretation of it. You might say, "Can you respond to my actual argument about X rather than the position you've attributed to me?" This puts the focus back on substantive engagement rather than mischaracterization. Redirect the specific issue at hand when strawman arguments try to expand the conversation into unrelated territory. We are discussing policy X. Can we focus on that rather than other issues I haven't raised? Recognize when clarification isn't working. If someone continues to misrepresent your position despite repeated clear corrections, they might not be engaging in good faith. At that point, continuing to clarify your position may be less productive than disengaging or setting boundaries about how the conversation should proceed. The key insight is that strawman arguments often work by forcing you to spend time defending against false characterizations rather than discussing the actual issues. Recognizing this dynamic helps you avoid getting trapped in defensive spirals that prevent productive dialogue and make you angry.